What is up, everybody? How's it going? Austin Prechtelevate Performance, coming at you live. Hope you are having a damn good Tuesday so far, because it is Tuesday. I kind of thought it was Monday this morning. It's been crazy. It's been fun. It's not really. It's kind of sucked being sick or whatever the hell is going on with me. But I did get blood work done this morning, impromptu. Got blood work done this morning. Had a message saying that basically like that I was approved to go get my testing done and all that. So went and did that ASAP this morning. Got that taken care of kind of on the fly. And yeah, if anybody knows me, they know that I don't do well with needles. I don't do well for somebody who has a bunch of tattoos. I don't do well with like medical needles for like shots and drawing blood and stuff. So it was a little bit of a fun adventure start to my morning. But we made it. We made it happen. I didn't pass out, so that's all. It's all good. But as you guys are tuning in, feel free to drop a comment, give this video a like, so that way I know that you're tuning in. Let me know how your day is going so far. And we're going to jump into things in here in just a second, because today we are going to be talking about the how having an oh well, don't dwell mentality. And yes, I did just make that up on the fly before this live. It rhymed. I was like, I like that mentality for your journey and for life in general too. Because like, again, a lot of the concepts that you can apply to having a successful fitness journey, you can apply to a lot of other places in your life. There are a lot of parallels, like success. Success in and of itself, there's an equation for it, no matter what you're doing it for. So just recognizing that there's that can be helpful. But we're gonna jump into this in just a second, because you know when it comes to your journey, right, and life, there's gonna be chaotic points, right? There's gonna be periods of time where things feel like things are going super smooth sailing, and then there's gonna be other periods of time where you get knocked on your butt, right? And definitely lately, it's felt like I've been in on my butt mode a lot lately, just in terms of feeling sick and things like that. But guess what? There's nothing I can fucking do about it other than focusing on my own shit, right? And you guys right now, you might be going through something in your own life, right? That you may feel maybe outside of your control, or maybe it's something not as like annoying as being sick for a long time, right? Maybe it's not something like that. Maybe it's you dropped your phone, right, and you busted the screen, or maybe I don't know, maybe you pulled a muscle, or maybe something happened in your day to day. Maybe your kid threw up all over their bed, right? Maybe your kid threw up, right? Maybe they got sick, or maybe you're sick, or your family's sick, or something like that. My family, actually, I just found out, not mine here in Washington, but my family back in Indiana just found out that they got COVID. So it's one of those things. It's just like there's all these things going on in everybody's lives from time to time, right? Everybody's got stuff going on. I was gonna go. I was actually talking to my dad yesterday about how I was gonna, because he's a giant Cincinnati Bengals fan. So like football, he's a big Cincinnati Bengals fan, and they're in the playoffs, right? And so yesterday, talking to him about getting him a ticket to the game, right? And so I was gonna get him a ticket to the game. And then this morning, after being super excited about doing that and going and things like that, come to find out, my family has COVID, right? Or is going to have. My mom has COVID. And my brother and my dad are almost certainly going to get it, right? And so it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, that absolutely sucks, and that's not fun. And yeah, it absolutely sucked, and it's not fun to have to go get my blood drawn this morning. It's not fun to go, have to go and get your phone fixed or buy a new phone if you broke it, right? Or it's not fun to have to take care of your kid all day. If they're sick from school, right? That's not fun. There's nothing fun about it. But and it's not fun, right? If you miss a workout because you're sick, or it's not fun because you didn't get your nutrition on point because maybe you were sick, or maybe you were running late, and because you were running late, you weren't able to get your protein in that day, or something along those lines, right? And in life, that shit happens all the time, right? It's inevitably going to happen. We are not perfect. I am not perfect. You are not perfect. You will never be perfect at anything that you ever do. Period. You won't. I don't care. Even the only things that you can get perfects on are math tests, right? Like that's the only thing. It's like unless it's like a law of the universe, you can't get a perfect on it. And even then, who knows? There's probably exceptions to every rule. But in life, we aren't perfect, and we can't do things perfectly all the time. There's always going to be some like, some mishaps. There's going to be shit that happens, right? So we have to expect that. And not only do we have to expect that, and in expecting that it's going to happen, we're going to be able to handle it better and deal with it better. But we also have to, whenever shit does hit the fan, right? Or you do have something bad happen to you that day, or you spill coffee on yourself, or whatever it may be. All these other things that I've talked about on this live, all these scenarios, right? You have to have an oh well, don't dwell mentality, right? You can't dwell on that shit. You have to say, shrug it off, and maybe you want to call it having thick skin, or maybe you want to call it, being tenacious, whatever you want to call it. You have to have that mentality coming into it, and it will, it. Sometimes you will falter, and sometimes you will dwell a little bit longer than you should, and sometimes you will, and then other times over time you'll build up your thicker skin, or your tenaciousness, or your tenacity for you know just shrugging things off, and the faster that you can get on with your day, right, and get on with things and not dwell, and move past whatever bullshit happened in your in your day, or whatever moment happened, the sooner you can get back to doing the shit that you need to do, right? And this is what I want to emphasize here, is that it's not that people that are like professionals or super successful at things that they do, it's not that they don't struggle, right? It's not that they don't go through shit. It's not that they don't have things happen to them. It's not that they have a perfect life, because trust me, they don't. A lot of those people that you see online that supposedly have perfect lives have really shit lives. They just don't show it. And in doing so, right? And in doing so, you have to recognize that those people that have it all figured out, right, or are professionals at what they do, they don't fall off the wagon any less than you do. They don't have any less bad stuff happen to them on a regular basis. They just move past it quicker, right? They just get on the wagon that much quicker. They just start back up sooner, right? So instead of it being like a week break, or like a 2 week break, or months on the end break from your fitness journey, from your workouts, from your nutrition, right? From tracking your food, from skipping out on all that shit, like all the stuff that that you should be doing because you got knocked down, right? Because you're dwelling, because you're going through a rough patch and you're sitting in it and you're festering in it. Instead of doing that, right? These people that are successful, or who are at their goals right now, or who are reaching their goals and maintaining them, right? Those people, they just don't dwell on that shit. They move past it that much faster. They get back on the wagon that much quicker. They shorten the time span that they are down on the ground and being knocked down, right? They're shortening that time span. And something that you guys need to develop in your own fitness journeys, and in your own weight loss journeys, and in your life in general, is having an oh well, don't dwell mentality. And something like right now, like yeah. Initially, it was kind of annoying, and I was kind of bummed. And yeah, I took my time to feel my feels whenever I was feeling like shit, like consistently. And I still don't feel good, but it's one of those things that's just like, what am I gonna? What are you gonna do? You're just gonna lay on the ground and die and not live your life? No, you're not. Like and at the end of the day, that's not what I'm gonna do either. And I'm I, I don't know if I've missed a live yet. I might have missed one or two the other couple weeks because we were moving. But I mean, other than that, like even through feeling like crap and not feeling good and things like that, it's like am I gonna not show up? Are you gonna not show up for yourself? Right? Are you not gonna show up for what you care about? Right? Um, because at the end of the day, it comes down to that tenacity. It comes down to that. Sorry, I was getting a phone call. It comes down to that. That tenaciousness, that willing, that not willingness to give up, right? That not willingness to sit and fester in your head and dwell about the shit that you got going on. Because guess what? That's just taking up mental bandwidth. It's taking up emotional bandwidth, and then in doing so, it's also taking up physical bandwidth because you're spending a shit ton of your time like thinking and worrying and being depressed about all this other shit, right? And I'm not saying that you can't take that time for yourself, because I think it's important. It's an important part of the process to take that time, but don't take more time than you need, right? Like don't fester in your in your own like pity, not pity party, but whatever you want to call it, right? Like that's the maybe you have a bad day, maybe the scale says something that you don't want it to say, because maybe your body, maybe you did everything right, and it's just your body fluctuating with water or things like that. But guess what? The person that doesn't dwell on whatever that negative thing was is going to reach their goals quicker, right? Is going to actually reach their goals. They're not going to fall off. They're not going to quit. They're not going to sit there and dwell, right, and waste a shit ton of time and energy on the things that don't even matter, right? The things that don't even that aren't helping you get to where you need to be. So that's what I encourage you guys to do is start working on that tenacity. Start focusing on that oh well, don't dwell mentality, because that's going to take you to that next level. It's going to take you to that next level. It's going to take you to that level of consistency that you need in your own journey. And how do we do this, right? How do we actually like build this up, right? How do we strengthen our oh well, don't dwell mentality, like muscle? How do we strengthen this? And so, because it's one thing to just to tell you guys like don't do that, like, and then it's like, well, how the fuck do I not do that, right? And it can be complicated, right? Because everybody's got their own stuff that they're working on, or people have their own like backgrounds and things that they're dealing with, and some for some people the answer is going to be different. But for most people, and anybody and everybody benefits from doing this, is one, separating yourself from your thoughts, right? Being able to separate yourself from your thoughts and be present, and to be able to be like to recognize like a negative thought pattern, and to separate yourself from it. Accept it for what it is, and separate yourself from it. And that's called being present, right? That's called being present. That's why, meditation, or honestly, that's why a lot of like meditation and a lot of these like presence of mind kind of like exercises can be super helpful, because it helps you separate yourself. It helps you recognize the thoughts that are kind of going on in your head, even the good ones and the bad ones, and just kind of like being kind of like a neutral space with those thoughts, and be able to separate yourself from it. And when you do that, right, whenever you do that, whenever you go through this, like, when you can be separate yourself from this negative thought pattern, right, it has less power over you. You don't let it sit. It just kind of goes through your head. You're like, oh, that's kind of a shitty thought, but it's going on its way. It's kind of like a cloud floating through your blue sky, right? And when that happens, like, it's gone. You don't have that thought. You don't repeat it over and over in your head throughout the day, thinking about that shit all the time. That's something that I used to do a lot, and it made me freaking miserable all the time. And so I encourage you guys, like, like, build that mental tenacity by working on these things through either meditation or through just some sort of like being present, kind of like grounding exercises can be super helpful. I honestly think mindfulness meditation is one of the most helpful like ways to do it. And the other way too, right? The other way too to help build this up is when you are presented with the situation, right? Maybe you break your phone, maybe you're super late, maybe you spill coffee on yourself, maybe your kid's sick, whatever it may be, and it's really annoying, or it's really like inconvenient, and you're like dwelling on it, and you're like in your head about it, right? Or maybe you said something dumb, or like what you thought was dumb, or maybe you embarrassed yourself, right? Whatever it may be, and you got these thoughts going in your head. The sooner, every time that you move past it and you separate yourself from it, you don't think about it, you strengthen that. You strengthen that reaction. You strengthen that synapse in your brain, that pathway in your brain. Because every time, because a lot of people who chronically are over worriers, or who are chronically like, like they kind of like fall into this like, pity party all the time, right? The reason that they do that is because they've done it so often, it's become a habit. It's become a routine. Anytime something bad happens, woe is me, life sucks, they fall off the wagon, right? It's built into their routine. It's built into their mindset. It's because they formed this like brain synapse, this neural pathway in their mind for that like scenario, right? Whenever that happens, boom, I feel bad about myself. I quit. I fall off the wagon. Every time that you don't do that, though, you strengthen the opposite kind of like pathway, right? You create this new pathway, and every time you do it, you strengthen it. It's literally like a muscle. It's kind of like a neural muscle in your brain kind of deal. I know, and so it's one of those things that it does help, and like, I'm way more tenacious than I ever was. Like, even right now, when I feel like crap and I feel sick and I don't feel good, like, I'm a billion times more tenacious than I was a couple of years ago. And it's one of those things, like, the sooner that you can move past whatever is like in your head, like, holding you down, the sooner you can get back to doing what you need to do to reach your goals. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was valuable. I hope this is kind of a little bit of like a little mindset kind of like perspective, or like a way to like focus on shifting your own. Because if you want to have a successful fitness journey long term, and it to be an enjoyable process for you, and for you to be able to be consistent with it and sustain it long term, you need to build an oh well, don't dwell mentality, right? Shrug that shit off. It's not worth it. It's not worth your mental bandwidth. It's not worth your time. It's not worth wasting your life living in this like state of like perpetual like dwelling on shit. It's not. It's not worth it. I was there. I lived that life for many years, and now that I'm not doing it, I can confirm that it is a much more more successful, happier lifestyle to live. So other than that, though, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you get value from this. Give me, leave a comment. Feel free to give this video a like. If you got value from this, let me know your number one takeaway in the comments down below. And yeah, other than that, happy Tuesday. Have a good rest of your day, and I will talk to you all later. Bye, guys.